Robert Morris walked into the courtroom today. As we told you, he was flanked by his family members, his loved ones. They went in, and he entered that plea before a judge in Osage County. That is, by the way, where the sexual assault would have taken place back in 1982. So he enters his plea deal of guilty. He is arrested shortly after that. That's according to our Andrea Lucia, who was in the courtroom, and then basically told that he will have a 10-year sentence imposed on him. Now, here's how that 10-year sentence breaks down, because he's not going to be locked up in jail for 10 years or in prison. He will have to serve 6 months, is what we're being told. 6 months in a jail in Osage County at a detention facility there. Once he finishes those 6 months, he will then be free to come back home to his house in Dallas County, and at that point he will be placed under probation for the remainder of that 10-year sentence. So we're talking 9.5 years. 6 months at a jail in Osage County, 9.5 years of probation at his home in Dallas County. Now, he does have to also register as a sex offender. That is all part of this deal. Again, we are waiting to hear more fallout, more reaction, but this is just information that has made it into the newsroom just about an hour ago in the case surrounding Robert Morris, the founding pastor of Gateway Church in South Lake. In South Lake. We're going to check in just a couple of minutes, so we encourage you to sort of just stay with us here, because this is information that is coming in by the minute, and we are getting ready to have Andrea Lucia live with us here in just a moment, just to talk a little bit more about this. So give us a couple of minutes to get her on the horn here, and then we're going to chat with Andrea about what all happened inside that courtroom. But again, the agreement here that was entered, which is something we didn't know up until maybe 45 minutes ago, was a guilty plea on behalf of Morris in exchange for a 10-year prison sentence, 6 months to be served at the Osage County Jail, 9.5 years of probation to be served inside of his, or at his home rather, back home here in Dallas County, and he will have to, in fact, register as a sex offender. What this now means for Gateway Church and for the parishioners there, for folks, and for the new leadership, we don't know that just yet. Of course, that's something that we are expecting that the church might have some kind of a comment on. On the topic of comments, though, even before that plea deal or that plea was entered, State Representative Jeff Leach did put I guess a couple of comments out onto social media earlier today on X. By the way, Representative Leach is the rep who authored the Texas House version of the new state law that would ban non-disclosure agreements in cases of child sexual abuse. So he went on to X. He said, quote, "Roll the stone away." He continued by saying, "Let the guilty pay. It is Independence Day." So that happened just shortly before Robert Morris went inside that courtroom to enter that guilty plea. These are all allegations that had stemmed, which he's pled guilty now. They are allegations that stem from 1982. At the time, Robert Morris was a traveling pastor, a traveling preacher, if you will, and he was staying with the Clemishire family in Hominy, Oklahoma. At the time, the victim in all of this, Cindy Clemishire, would have been 12 years old. Want to go ahead and send things out to our Andrea Lucia. She is standing by for us live to talk a little bit more about what happened inside that courtroom in Osage County earlier today. Andrea, bring us up to speed. What all happened in there?
Yeah, Robert Morris, the founder of one of our nation's largest churches and a former spiritual advisor to President Trump, pled guilty to child sex assault charges. He entered that plea really moments ago here in this Oklahoma courthouse. In exchange, he received a 10-year sentence. The first 6 months of that will be served here in Osage County in jail. The remaining 9.5 years may be served as probation in the city of Dallas. We have been covering this criminal case since March, when Morris was indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child for molesting a young girl here in Oklahoma 4 decades ago. He was facing up to 20 30 years in prison for each of those charges. But as part of this plea deal made today, he is receiving a reduced sentence. Again, 6 months behind bars. He will, though, have to register as a sex offender when he gets out. Cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, but I was there, one of the few reporters inside. It was packed. Morris was there with his family. The victim in this, Cindy Clemenshire, was there with her family and friends. She was 12 years old when this abuse began. Today, she is a woman in her 50s, and she was able to address Morris in court. She told him that he may never see the truth, but the state of Oklahoma, finally does. Powerful words from her.
Andrea, thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, what was the immediate reaction on behalf of Robert Morris? Were you able to gauge at all what his reaction would have been?
You know, the whole time that Cindy Clemenshire was addressing him and her sister was addressing him, she got up and spoke as well. His eyes were down. He didn't appear to be making any eye contact with them or the other members of their family present. I will say, before the hearing started, we saw him hugging all of his family members, his children, giving his wife kisses. It's unclear what kind of contact they're going to have, again, over the next 6 months, because this hearing ended with Robert Morris being placed in handcuffs and being led away. Again, he may be spending the next 6 months in jail here.
His lawyers, has anybody else said anything at all, Andrea?
No, I tried to talk to his attorneys. I also tried to talk to the Attorney General's office, which was there prosecuting him. The AG's office did give us a statement on behalf of Cindy. His attorneys didn't say anything at all. They had no comment. The statement from Cindy, though, says, quote, "Today justice has finally been served, and the man who manipulated, groomed, and abused me as a 12-year-old innocent girl is finally going to be behind bars. My hope is that many victims hear my story and it can help lift their shame and allow them to speak up." She talked a lot in her statement in court today about the shame that she has carried over the last 4 decades. She also really drew a comparison between what his life has been like and what her life has been like. You know, she dropped out of college. She experienced divorce. She has been in therapy for years, getting treatment for anxiety, for depression. In the meantime, she was watching Robert Morris rise up as, again, the founder of one of our country's largest churches, as a spiritual advisor to the President of the United States. Very successful, very wealthy. And she said, you know, today she is finally really seeing him held accountable for the first time.
Yeah. Andrea, you know, one of the interesting things that Cindy Clemenshire had said in the past, one of the other allegations that she had made, is that she believed that she was not the only victim in all of this. Did she make any other additional comment to that point earlier today in the courtroom, or has anyone?
No, I mean, we heard from her sister, who wasn't a direct victim here, but talked about the impact that what happened with Cindy and really how it affected the rest of the family. Cindy herself said, you know, this has trickled down, and it affected her marriages, it affected her children, it affected her grandchildren, and she hopes that there is, oddly, some positive impact in the future because of what she is able to do as an advocate for other victims. So we heard a lot about sort of the ripples here, who else was affected in terms of direct victims, any other children that he might have sexually abused. There was no talk of that, and we don't know of anyone.
Yeah, Andrea, we
don't know of anyone making those claims.
Yeah, many times, Andrea, when a plea deal is about to be had, we know this about our judicial system. The terms of this are already known, at least to the person getting ready to enter the plea and to the prosecutor in this case. Do you know if there was any sort of negotiating that went on at all to lessen the sentence, perhaps, or is this something that, at least to you, from what you were able to witness, it seemed pretty straightforward?
Yeah, I mean, he was facing up to 20 years in prison for each of those 5 charges. It would have been unlikely that they were served back to back. But, I mean, hypothetically, he might have gotten 100 years if that had been the case.
Yeah.
He was instead sentenced to 10 years. The first 6 months will be behind bars. So we're talking about a 6-month sentence, much less than he could have hypothetically gotten. He also got a condition in there that when he is serving probation, the 9.5 years that will follow those 6 months behind bars, that time, that probation can be served in the city of Dallas. His church, Gateway Church, is in Southlake. He has lived in North Texas. That's where his life has been centered for decades now. And so I think one of the conditions that he was able to get as part of this negotiation is to be able to serve his probation in Dallas.
Yeah, Andrea, just so you know, I don't know if you can see it out there live from where you are, but we're watching the video now of Robert Morris being led away by what appear to be 2 sheriff's deputies in handcuffs. He's wearing a navy suit, a white shirt, and a bright blue tie. Not saying much at all, actually not saying anything. And the 2 deputies taking him down the hall and then down a couple of stairs. Assuming he's in their custody now, so the next step would be a transfer to the actual jail. Probably have a booking photo taken at some point soon, and maybe put into some a jail uniform, I'm assuming. Yeah, Andrea, not sure if you can hear me here, Andrea, but we're talking.
Registered sex offender. I mean, think about it. One of the most prominent pastors in our country, now a registered sex offender, and that includes having to report on a regular basis.
Right.
It includes having his picture on a sex offender registry. This is something that will stick with him for the rest of his life.
Sure, absolutely. And this is something that Gateway Church is going to have to somehow grapple with whatever the reaction is going to be from their own community as a result of this. By the way, Andrea, we did reach out to Gateway a couple of minutes ago, and I'm being told that they are declining any comment right now. At some point, I think they may. They have in the past, but as of this moment, an hour into this breaking news, they are declining comment, officially declining comment as a result of this breaking news of Robert Morris being arrested. And again, there's that video of him being led away by sheriff's deputies. He's in handcuffs, being taken down a flight of stairs, presumably transported to the county jail there in Osage County as well. Earlier this year, I should let you know that Gateway, as a result of all the backlash and all the fallout that has happened when these allegations first surfaced, even before we got to the point of what we're seeing here today, the lead pastor, former lead pastor, being taken away in handcuffs. Andrea, the church they said they had to lay off staff members. They had declining tithes as a result, so they couldn't really make the payroll for them, so they had to lay them off. And in September, the church, they installed a new lead pastor. His name is Daniel Floyd. Daniel Floyd, the new pastor, he had pledged to lead Gateway, quote, with integrity. But oftentimes we know, Andrea, that anytime these big sort of bombshell developments happen with community leaders, religious leaders, there is usually massive fallout and reaction that happens within the congregations that they serve. You've been following this story for quite some time, too. Are you expecting to see more fallout and more reaction from within the congregation at Gateway?
Well, there's civil cases that are continuing here. We have, as you mentioned, seen quite a fallout with the church, with the attendance. Robert Morris's son was going to take over the church. I mean, Robert Morris was on the verge of retiring. His son had been chosen as his successor to take over the church. I think this past January, he ended up leaving the church altogether and has opened up another church elsewhere. Robert Morris's son-in-law leads what was a branch of the church in the, I think, Houston area that has separated from Gateway Church. Those are no longer connected in any way. As far as the civil cases, we've seen, a lawsuit between Robert Morris and the church over how much money he's owed in retirement. We have seen former members of the church sue the church over getting some of their tithes back, and we have seen Cindy Clemenshire, again the victim in this case, suing both Robert Morris civilly and Gateway Church civilly, accusing the church of being well aware of Robert Morris's past and allowing him to continue on there. So the criminal aspect, the criminal trial may be over today, but there is still a lot to go, and how that will flesh out, what will happen there, is really hard to guess.
Yeah.